spinning in a red circle.
Yeah.
Just make sure that it's upright, because right now it will record upside down. I've already seen it. So go ahead and stop the video. This is where I start recording. I'm not going to be giving you questions like that. She stays put right where we're standing and gets married. It's 1744. Because again, I already know how many people is going to be in my party, so I always tell her. So again, you want to keep the footage going, because if you start recording when you find something, it's going to be gone. So just keep it running. So I'll give you the cue of when you're going to stop it running. But nice and slow, just keep off the cars. These people get really weirded out about that.
Oh, I got... Oh.
That is definitely something weird.
By that shed there.
Well, I'm also looking... See how the head has... There's more than one point in there?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take a screenshot when I'm going through the video and brighten it up to see what that actually is, to make sure it's not a sign or something like that it's picking up. So that's good. Nice and slow.
What gifts did you get for your wedding, Miss Eliza? Has your father sent you any presents lately? 20.5? Okay, that's on new high. Roger. Miss Eliza, who's Roger? Eliza, who's Roger? How are you related to Roger? So you'd love it if you were sisters. What's your father's name, Miss Eliza?
crazy going on with yours, sir? Besides that.
When I was looking in that general area, like I saw multiple of the 3 dots, mostly bodies almost.
Okay.
It showed it like almost complete, like similar to like people kind of. I don't know.
Gotcha.
My life, American City, security,
American City. Talking follow up with them, Timothy, and then I'm gonna ran everybody back. Alright, I'm gonna ran everybody back. Nothing? Okay. The hang of this is really long. We'll get better and better. So, but yeah, let's rein everybody to the back. I'm just worried about these people sitting in the cars getting figured out.
Scream and it was really creepy on this
What
thing.
kind of scream though? Like, was it a blood curdling scream? Like
Kind of.
a.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
If you guys want to stop your videos at this point, you can. So I'm closed late for a short period of time. And I, of course, some of the other family items, and I wanted to go see it, get pictures, and those kind of things. This was a tiny woman. Like, I'm saying, town, if you're going to take any more, it tells you about a great fire because we've had dozens. Let me show you what this one actually did. So this one particularly, this is a map of Charleston. You can see the orange is obviously the fire. It went from one side of the peninsula all the way to the other. We are standing on that tiny little green dot on the right-hand side. That kind of gives you an idea of how big this fire was. So this was about $5 to $9 million worth of damage. The next set of questions that I cover is something else I didn't hand out. It's the one that we normally, I haven't been handing it out more and more because of, it kind of pokes about in the left leg during the Battle of Camden and was captured by the British. She had the word left that showed up specifically on her word list. I was waiting for somebody else to give me leg or a shot or something along those lines. So people walking by.
Yeah, well, he won't unless you say Tim.
Tim.
I heard.
People walking by. Learn how to
Yeah.
listen. You can't.
That's why I pointed it down when you
Again, they
mentioned
don't
it.
know that you're not recording.
Yeah, that's why. But I still pointed like straight to the ground when it happened.
Now, after the Battle of Camden and he was captured by the British released him. He was left on a cane the rest of his days. Any quote that you're going to find of Thomas is actually on his right side, so you can hide his left leg, and there's a picking going over his lap. You guys are seeing the cues that I look for in the event that Thomas's name shows up somewhere. The next child is baby George. This is the one we don't poke the bear with. Baby George obviously didn't make it. He doesn't have a headstone or a grave. The theory behind this is that they would have mummified him and kept him right here in the home, waiting for the mother to pass away so he could be buried with her. So kind of a creepy thought, right? Have a mummified baby here. And don't go home, guys, and you can Google mummy baby and not expect a phone call from the government. So it is a religious practice. So a lot of, I have to kind of give that warning, especially when we have teenagers that are here because they all know mummy baby. Like, yeah, that's not good. But anyway, it gets even more weird. By the way, that's my theory alone, just based on there's no headstone or grave. So I had to see what the practices were. The last child, her name was Harriet, the only daughter. She marries Daniel Oring. Why is that important? Myrtle Beach is Orange County. It's 2.5 hours north of here. So that kind of gives you an idea of where she lived. It wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride for Eliza. So we do get a lot of letter writing terms back and 4th. So we'll get, if Harriet's name shows up, quill, ink, paper, you guys are getting the point of anything. Now, who wants to take a guess who the pallbearer was at the funeral? It was 1793. Anybody know their history really well? It was a president.
Andrew Jackson?
No. Too
Well,
late.
Lena, you're the one that's got the history.
1793.
It's
George
good.
Washington?
It's good you guys can't answer.
No, that's.
It was Washington.
Yeah, okay.
So here's why I'm glad you guys all passed and failed. Because when we got over here, I told you guys I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George 1. We're in a spot. So when these other tours start to pass through us, well, by the way, back to the bleed over. What I'm hoping for is after I stir things up over here by talking about, this gentleman that we're going to be discussing, we're going to get the bleed over at the next location along with clues from that location. So that's going to be the bleed over. That's normally what happens with this space. Again, this is a staple for every ghost tour in town. So if you've ever taken a Charleston ghost tour, you're going to come here. However, we're not going to be doing the campfire marshmallow story like everybody else. I'm going to be giving you a little bit more detail so you guys have an idea of what to look and listen for. So, this is, what does it say?
Planet.
That's fun. I'm just going to put it out there. That's good shit. Got me all excited for nothing. No, you're okay. I don't want to hear everything or see everything out of yours. But this is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Dueler's Alley. That's because this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So dueling was illegal at the time, so this was one of the spaces. So this was kind of like a hiding spot. We're going to talk more about that as we kind of move along. But anyway, here's telling the same story, but I'm going to do this. Here's how it goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. The two of you actually hear Brown Eyed Girl on your spirit box while we're here. It's not it's part of his name. If you're getting my point. Brown Eyed Girl, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I get it here all the time. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money, and I don't know if it was $1 million or not because it's the 1700s. I doubt it. But she inherited all this money from her dead parents. She's an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. Now, the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So, by the way, if anybody ever passes through here, we're going to split the seas or all move towards one side and just let them pass. You'll hear me stop talking because I tell different aspects of this alley what they do. I don't like them stealing this stuff. It's a very competitive market. But anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. So Dr. Ladd comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. So as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to him coming here. But somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph. Ralph actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. The letters R.I. were showing up on the spirit boxes all the time, so I bought a digital Ouija board that we now use on the tours, so that way we can see if the actual letters actually mean anything. If they have popped up, I've had the device for about 6 months now, and we've gotten it about 4 to 5 times when I'm telling this portion of the story on cue. So take that for what it is. I just wanted to verify what we were hearing. Why would we hear letters on a regular radio station? So I kind of wanted to get that device to verify it. But anyway, back to Ralph and the doctor. Ralph tells Dr. Ladd, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from some friends of mine and you'll be safe and good to go. The number 59 being very relevant here. But anyway, he takes him up on the offer. They become friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. That he didn't want Amanda's money. He just wanted Amanda. So Amanda gets wind of this, and she's coming down so they can get married. And Dr. Ladd is a very happy guy, and it is the 1700s. They call him the Whistling Doctor. I'm going to tell you that every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future is going to have a whistling ghost. I can guarantee it. It's a cliche. We all have one. But there's actually proof of this one. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other. Why? Because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. On the way home of seeing Richard III, they're arguing over an actress that was new to town. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turned into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got very ugly, and they went their separate ways. You're like, holy shit, I can see the wheels spinning. But anyway, Ralph, being friendly around town, has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's just go to Dueler's Alley. Let's settle this shit. Somebody's gonna die. Right? Over an actress argument. That's why it's all started, remember? But anyway, they came down, they took her 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the
Poor
front.
man.
Well, he wasn't quite poor, but Ralph was. Or poor man, like, oh, poor guy. that kind of thing. That could be that kind of phrasing too. That's where I come into play with all my crazy English degrees that I have. I'm like, oh, it's all about context. But anyway, back to Doctor. They came down and, like I said, he shot his in the air, but Ralph is his one bullet. So he puts his one bullet in the kneecap on the doctor. Yeah, that's a nasty move, right? So, Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later on November 2nd. You guys did hear the number 2, 1786. After refusing medical treatment. I want you to also keep in mind that this guy's a doctor, and he probably refused the medical treatment because he probably tried to bleed it out himself. Gunshot wounds in 1786 were a lot different than what they are now. So, again, take that for what it's worth. Every tour down here will tell you to listen for the whistles. Do you hear how quiet it is? It's always this quiet. Busy Saturday afternoon sounds like this. Just so you know, you can't hear the other streets from over here. It's the weirdest, uncanny thing that we have here in Charleston. What I will tell you is that if you're going to try this on your own and listen for the whistles and walk all the way through with your voice recorders from your phones, just keep in mind every local knows the story. We all know it. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single time. Okay.
Yes,
We're going to let the bike come through.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen that in a while, but we got summertime coming, so I'm probably going to see it a lot more. But anyway, I will tell you, like with the whistling portion, we have 2 video cameras running right now, plus my voice recorder. If it's there, it'll be there. I will also tell you that we have 2 spirit boxes running. We will get the word whistle on there. We will get whistling parts of songs. So think of Guns N' Roses' Patience or Moves Like Jagger. Like those have whistling parts to the song. We're in Whistlers, like the Whistling Doctor's Alley. So take that for what it is. Now, I throw the whistle down here every night because I've been booted out of here. Let me tell you about that, because that's what makes this whole alley fun for everybody else. That fact that I got in trouble. Leaves are not your friend, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, it's trying to get past, like, into the fence, like, outside the fence a little.
5 layers of depth in there. You're probably gonna pick something up. You got all the things. What's he got? What's he got? I seen the look on your face. So here's how I got booted out of here. This is the fun part. This alley didn't go all the way through, from the way we came in. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this was called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. This is where they kept some of the livestock for the city of Charleston. So that means the bricks on the other side are older. Those are older than the bricks that we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with the fingerprint slips. You guys figured out I'm all about history and accuracy. I would always take my groups through the whole alley and show off those geological sites. However, I still treat those bricks the same way I do a grave. You're not gonna find that in the paranormal. So, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 is huddled around that brick, waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoot them along because I know nothing's going to happen, and it's also because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying to be respectful to the house, not realizing I was out of bounds. I was still new at giving tours. The new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter was on the tour that night. She was probably about your age. She thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for Walmart for a good part of 20 years. You guys can see where I don't work on Thanksgiving ever again. But the next day I called my partner that I had at the time and I told him what happened, and he said, dude, you can't go down that far. You're only allowed to go down halfway, which is about exactly where that group was standing, because that's the cutoff line for tours. Otherwise, I have to reroute the entire group. What I told my team that night, because I'm full again, is that I'm going to reroute, but I don't believe in the next story because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. You can already pick up, we're going to be discussing pirates next. So, now with that said, I didn't know a whole lot. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating, the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. We get over there, I told them what little bit I did know. Somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that means. I write it down, I do the research. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of the pirate trial. So I was pretty excited about that. So I've been going back there ever since, but my shoulder shrunk when I figured all this out because I don't do pirates, but I've had to read more damn books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life trying to piece this together. That's my problem with pirates. Every pirate story you're ever going to hear is based off of lore. For a guy with a master's degree in creative writing, lore doesn't really cut it. So you need to read a lot of books to make sure what you're getting is verified. So everything we're going to discuss at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. It's also a hit or miss location, which is what I like about the bleed over going into that space from here. So Anything going on with your devices that I need to know about before we leave the space?
Infants.
It's interesting.
She's
Liam?
got mass, infants, and run.
Infants is very interesting. I'll wait to see if something else pops up with that. That's a story I don't always tell. I wait to see if the evidence is going to steer us in another direction. What about the two of you? You get
Last thing I heard was not gonna let you.
not going to let you. And what was the phrase you heard again?
Pandemic aid.
Pandemic aid. That's weird.
It sounded like Joe Biden's.
Let's go to Joe Biden. I mean, he is really old.
From Joe Biden. No, okay. Well, I should write it down because we're talking about Dr. Joseph Brown. But no, that's too big of a stretch. And not going to let you, I don't know what that means. Those of you with cameras, if you want to keep them running until we get into the next phase, by all means you can, but we're going to be creating the Blair Witch Project along the way because we're going to be walking. But if you want to stop them, that works too. But when we get into our next phase, we're just going to stay away from all the other tours. You're going to see, just stay out of their way, they stay out of mine, that kind of thing. So just because we're investigating, they're telling stories and leaving. But I don't know, that's a long story he's telling down there because I gave you guys extra details on what he's telling. So anything else crazy I need to know?
I thought I heard friends are friends forever. When they started talking about the duel.
Wow, that's
The
cool.
duel. That's actually
I like it. I'll write it down. All right, let's go learn about the rated R pirates. Did anybody else get my joke besides the adults? Rated R pirates.
Living among the dead? Living among the dead.
We're still at 7 for this location. Did you have enough hours?
Living yours?
I haven't gotten past it too.
Straight hard facts. So when we're doing it,
Young ladies school.
nice. We get a lot of gender terms here. A lot of times it might give up, it should give off a little bit of a pulse. 10.1. I like it.
I heard 21.
No, that's a... My sister
All right. We ready to talk about crazy pirates?
Talk about
I got 21.
I got it.
Okay. It's a cat. I love cats.
That's odd for this location.
I just heard no pals.
I have no pals.
All right, so welcome to the Powder Magazine. So once I go through the history of this location, we will be spreading out. Just keep in mind the other tours love to come and cut through here, which is why I come to the back. We won't be filming them as they cut through, and if they are trying to talk about the Powder Magazine, we just come to another part of the area. Because a lot of times they'll stop right over in that area. But anyway, we're going to be discussing the Powder Magazine with the tiny little, the big crosses on the side. By the way, those aren't crosses; those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically a turnbuckle that goes all the way through the roof. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, you can turn the turnbuckles and it tightens the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So the reason I bring it up is because it's part of the reason why we're here. Those earthquake bolts were the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. Because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. So it was finished in 1713. So it kind of gives you an idea of the years that we're working with here. The building is what I call a familiar. Some of you watch the TV shows and the YouTube videos where they use like the teddy bear to attract the child ghost kind of thing. That's because it's familiar to the child. This is the same principle. We don't have many buildings like that. This is not the Beacon Mansion site. Again, this is a different presentation.
husbands. You want to tell me about Mary instead? Tell me about Mary. Friend again. Twice.
Let's go ask my friend Newton.
We're all like loving the cat.
So cute. I love that.
Sat. Friend.
I kept looking at the thing as it was.
Yeah, but you can see the reason why 93.1 was come up when talking about Eliza Hinckley's death, because she died in 1793. So it shows up for a reason.
Especially if some, word that pertained to her
Like grades,
comes, yeah.
you know, like that's where things start to tie in. So even when I give you guys your analysis back, even if it's just one part of the clue, I still give you the research where I am.
Hey, do that again. Natalie, do that again. Natalie, do that again. Oh, she can't probably hear me.
You can't just ask that.
Hey, he said poke the bear.
You can. Poking the bear. That sounds mean.
Hey, maybe she'll appear. Maybe I'll catch some kind of figure. I only get like 5 dots on the cross, and I feel like it's because points on it. Ooh.
Maybe she wants to be called Queen Anne.
I also heard trial in Oxford.
Trials. Now we're getting some.
Yeah. It's just it's hard to differentiate what like an actual word.
How's your camera coming? Anything
Oh.
that's... I seen you were focused on the bush. Again, anything with leaves is not going to be your friend, because leaves are in front of each other.
Well, I kept getting like between 3, maybe 6 dots around the crosses.
Yeah. Well, they're in front of the building,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you're getting the point.
Been trying to find things that people aren't near. Wait, Oh, that's my shadow again.
Yep. I will tell you, from the shot that we're at right now, we've had somebody sitting on top of that garbage can. Like just from where we're standing right now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I
they
had
were sitting on it, though.
$300.
300 again? So you have the,
$300.
yeah, but you have the number 3 that keeps repeating.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like even when you give me like 3,000, I'm
Yeah.
only looking at. So what color is the big red barn? You might get Rudolph the red nose right here. I don't need Rudolph the red nose.
And I stepped on the cockroach.
yeah.
I don't want to go.
Oh.
Still right now. Full number. Anything crazy on your end?
No, it's just stuck on
On device. Yeah, we got pretty much a light thing going on here. If there's, I'm surprised at the EMF rate. All the way up to the wall and have run in between houses and whatnot to create this area. So again, look at all those big walls. Makes sense.
What'd you say, Natalie? Pretty quick.
Civil War ghost that walks through here, but I've never caught anything with any of my.
Oh, because she's taking me. Okay. Alright, I'm done. Take your device
Good?
back.
Keep getting rickrolled.
It actually wraps all the way around, so
Oh, okay.
you can get some from the front too.
So the Elena device, is it?
I'm gonna hand you guys disposable blindfolds. They don't run them back, so keep your own eye boogers. Do not put them on until we come back over. Here's why. When we start doing this session, because we're gonna go over stuff now. Get rid of all the history. We're gonna stay really close, tight knit around you because other tourists do come through here, and I don't like them to say, "What the hell is makeup to that?" You guys are getting messed up, especially when I'm blindfolding people in a little dark park in the middle of the night. So one for each of you there. When you open those up, it's kind of, they're really thin, so you just kind of have to slightly pull them apart and it'll make a ring. And then there's a rip, so it'll make ear loops over your ears. It doesn't go all the way around your head. So if you have trouble with it, you kind of wear something that apparently doesn't last you very long. Now, I'm also going to give you those things and headphones just to play with, so you guys can feel of these guys. They can be, they're still relatively new, so you have to feel like how tight they are. You have to put them on when you're blindfolded to kind of get used to how they move around. So for you, when I come back, I will give you a few tips and tricks on what to expect out of this, and for safety reasons, obviously. So, you guys ready to learn the history here? It's very brief. It's like 5 minutes. So,
Max, do you have a problem doing your microphone?
I'm going to walk you through the whole thing when I
Okay,
come back
okay.
over. I just wanted you to play with the stuff I just handed you, kind of get a feel for them. We're going to go over this with about a minute.
I was getting. Well, I got like a couple moments where there was a slight figure like around like, the front.
What's funny is that's exactly why I have that device, is because somebody brought the big one on my tour one night, like from what you guys see on TV. They were testing it out because we were in haunted locations, and we had a full figure standing next to this monument for 8 minutes. And It was full interaction. When I say interaction, it was a, hey Henry, can you please raise your right hand? He raised his right hand kind of stuff.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
the only way he disappeared was because the only female in the group actually went to the side and offered her hand to be shaken. This guy's from the 1800s. He disappeared.
Have you seen anything?
Well, over there in the front.
He said 1800s in Palestine.
Alright, so let's kind of go over the very brief history of this location. I want you to also know that I don't know a whole lot about this gentleman we're about to talk about. I've only been coming here for a few months. I know about all these things. So, here's his quick story. The guy was sick for most of his life, and he was a writer. So being born in 1828, he's obviously old enough to go fight in the Civil War for the Confederates, and he goes out to fight. His comrades realize he's too sick to fight. So they said, go home and be the voice of the war. So he came home and started writing poetry about what was going on the battlefield. He became known as the laureate of the Confederacy. So, a few years go by, and he has a son. His son, you guys are going to know about, but they're not, because I'm probably going to poke the bear to try to get answers out of Henry about his son. His son's name was Willie. He was born on Christmas Eve, and he died 9 months later. So those are the quick facts about his son. Obviously a tragic death. He's still mourning his son a few years as they go by. His college friend realizes he's not publishing as much as he was before, so he offers him his cottage in the middle of Columbia, South State. He says, go use my cottage, leave you a key, at home with your parents to mourn, and you can finish publishing what you're supposed to be doing. He goes out there and writes his last words. His last words were beholder of brief mortality. And then he coughs, and it lands on the page in a blood stain. That blood stain looks like a man writing at his desk. Now, they call this the blood book, and beholder of brief mortality translates to person of short life. So it's ironic all on its own. They show this book one day a year on Halloween over at the Charles Lyman Society, because that's where this collection is being held. However, and it's beautiful. I'm going to show you the page, and then we're going to go see what we can get out of Henry at the next, out of the Estes method over here. So, that blood book, this is the page that he last wrote. You can see beholder of brief mortality, and then the blood stain is pretty clear. I don't know if you can see it that far away, Janine, but that's the blood stain from his tuberculosis. Yeah, it looks just like a person writing at his desk. So, let's go blindfold some people and let's have some fun with this. You guys ready? All right. Hang on, I'll show you.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Under bed. Whoa, hold on.
You gotta pull them down. You got them upside down. Easier. There you go.
I see how this goes.
Keeping this so it's semi between the two of them.
So what we'll probably do, since you guys are struggling with those, don't put anything on yet. That'll take us on to the
Alleged is
Alright,
on
so
there. Yeah.
Janine, I might need your help over here, because a lot of times what I'll do is just have the family members, if they're struggling with the earmuffs, to actually I'll have them do it. But a couple of things. So first off, we're only going to keep you on there for 10 minutes. So when I say 10 minutes only, it's because this can get very disorienting, like I mentioned earlier. It'll be you guys getting all wobbly on. When we're done, and somebody taps you out, it's going to be your family member, because I don't touch my guests. Somebody's going to tap you on the leg. That means you take off the noise canceling headphones and start taking your gear off. You do that yourself. If you're too loud, I want you guys to whisper. We can hear you. We're in a very quiet part. If you're too loud, a family member will tap your shoulder and keep the tone down.
Okay.
When you start your spirit boxes, and I'm going to actually take Max's and actually restart it so that the recording is separate, you're going to tell us everything that you're hearing in real time. I don't want you to try to remember 10 minutes worth of stuff you heard. You're just going to tell us in real time what you heard in a whisper. This is also a space where you can answer yes or no. The reason why, you don't know what I'm asking. That's why I feel like it's an okay thing if I know what to expect out of the type of situation. When we're done, don't get up, like I said, And remember, you have to talk to us. You don't know what we're asking, but kind of keep that in mind. Just answer whatever you're hearing. 10 minutes, somebody will tap you out. So, Max, let me see your spirit box real quick. I'm going to stop yours and start a whole new recording, so that way it's separated in your analysis. You will.
Oh, that's.
You've actually done pretty well tonight. Normally, if somebody didn't do well with the spirit box up until this point, I don't actually let them go under like this. So, let's see. I'm gonna set. Make sure I can hear that volume coming out of there. Also, do not touch your spirit boxes. We want to make sure you guys aren't shooting. We're turning on the spirit boxes to hear our questions.
That's her arm.
So try not to touch your spirit boxes. All right, let's go ahead and put the.
You have to see those 3 dots on their head
Okay.
to. Like.
Wrapper.
Annalena's big butt.
And did you see her wrapper in here?
Goddamn.
Yep, earbuds.
Oh shoot. I'll leave the furniture.
Thank you.
Oh God.
20-year-old.
Too loud?
Yeah. Oh, I hate this.
Alright, so it's the only thing I timed. It is 10:52. Alright, everybody, let's crowd in nice and tight. So that way nobody can see what the hell we're actually up to. I love your shoes, by the way. I just noticed those.
Doc Martens.
Take your shoes down. Alright, so we are looking to speak to Henry Timrod. Stand up, please.
Oh.
Yeah, we want to crowd him. Henry Timrod, can you please tell us what your occupation is, please? Henry Timrod, if you're here, we would like to know your occupation.
Home Depot.
It is not working.
Do you love history?
History. I do love history. That's why I'm trying to learn more about
No
you.
downtime.
I want you guys also to notice I'm not writing anything down so I can stay focused. I want to make sure that their breathing
Flying.
is going to be okay.
Another one.
Anybody starts to get a heavy breathing too
Do
for too long
whatever.
a time.
Iowa, love.
Henry Timrod, tell us what your occupation is. I'll accept anything that is in the English area. So word, writing, pen, anything that works that will describe what your occupation is. You're being very,
Maybe.
You're being very respectful.
5'5".
She got history.
Yesterday,
And tap her on the shoulder a little
with
bit.
a head.
Henry Timrod, please.
Might disappear.
Let's go straight into your family. Can you tell us what your son's name was, please?
That was.
What was your son's name?
Free.
Natalie seems to be struggling a little bit.
Close.
Can you tell us where your son is buried? In relevance to your memorial?
Yes. Tonight. Anticipation.
She's worried she's gonna hear anything today. Henry, where's your son buried?
We spent a lot more time together.
Wow. That's a long phrase. We have been spending a lot of time together. Henry, is that you that's answering these questions for us? That's a yes-no
Okay.
format?
Money and power.
Damn. Henry Timrod, is this you that we're communicating
7
with?
years.
Give us a yes-no answer.
Each.
Henry Timrod, we would would like to learn more about you.
3.
So if you can please come
100.
through and give us a little bit more details to the questions we're asking. These are very vague. You've been vague for the past few nights.
Nothing.
So if you can give us some clear answers of any of the questions I've asked, your occupation, your son's name, possibly his birthday,
You.
where is your son buried in relevance to you,
Factory. 92. U.S.
Chicken.
we get that a lot here. I don't know what it's for. We get it all the time during this session. It is weird, and I can't find a relevance.
Maybe they like chicken.
Well, we've had 2 other ghosts like try to come through. If I ask how many ghosts are here,
Indeed.
the answer is going to be 5.
10 days.
How many spirits do we actually have here with us?
Damages.
Because there's a lot of mixed messaging here. I'd like to know how many spirits we're trying to communicate with.
Of God's great. Always.
It's been about 5 minutes, so everybody knows. Henry Timrod, if you can
No.
come through and
Let's
push
talk
forward.
about-
Let's talk about your occupation. I need proof that you're here before we really start to press forward.
Keep it quiet.
Well, we're trying to keep quiet. Being respectful to the neighbors behind us. Come on now, give us something great.
Hotel.
Your hotel. What about their hotel? Is it dirty? That's a yes/no question.
Get it.
So keep your... What about us?
Who is us? Give us names. Who else is here?
You.
Period of turbulence.
I know I'm here, Henry.
Feisty ghost.
Henry's usually pretty shy and timid, especially when there's a lot of other tours coming through. It's really like pulling teeth. Like what we're doing now. Like I feel like we're really trying to yank and try to get answers. Henry, we're about to hear some sounds coming out of the church. Can you tell
5
me?
episodes.
5 episodes. How many people are here?
2 of us.
Oh. Who's the other? Henry and who else? Give us a
4.
name.
The things in life.
Her husband.
Here's one. We've gotten this answer before. I've only done it once or twice. Henry, can you tell me your wife's maiden name, please? It was Goodwin.
In another language.
She was French.
It just doesn't matter.
Okay, let's go to the question that I normally ask. What are we hearing
Okay.
from St. Michael's Church right now? What's the sound? Keep an eye on your word list because sometimes
Please
it's
don't go.
We're not going for another few minutes. We
Please.
just got to give us some answers. What are we hearing right now from St. Michael's Church?
Proudly president.
No presidents. Very good. What was the sound we just heard? Lena, have you gotten anywhere?
Reality.
Entitled child.
Oh.
Pastures.
What's the sound we're getting right now, Henry? What's happening right now?
Bell bells swinging.
We've had the word bells swing, like spelled out on
Growing
that Ouija
numbers.
board device.
Office. What?
What's the sound?
Today.
You already said yesterday.
Keeping our economy back on track.
I swear this is true, but
We're running out of time, Henry. You need to give us some kind of answers. We've asked a lot of questions, just like we always do.
Yeah, I know. That.
Can you answer any of them?
But I wasn't
Give us something nice and simple about what you did for a living. You give us that answer and we'll call
So my
it.
temper.
We barely did yacht last year.
Quit.
He was a poor man. He was not like a slave owner.
Do.
Henry Timron, tell us your occupation and we'll call it quits. We'll leave you alone for the night. We'll make a deal.
Gatekeeper.
We're not a gatekeeper.
Spy.
We're not a spy either. Did you fight in a war? That's a yes-no format.
Thomas. More than a week. Good enough.
Are you telling us your wife's maiden name was good enough since her last name was Goodwin? That's a yes-no question.
On. Waking.
Earlier.
8.9.
Henry, you got about 30 seconds. She loves them numbers.
Your music.
Okay, Henry, and whoever else is here, we're
I
gonna.
said look.
Where are we looking? We're gonna tap them. Henry, last chance.
Blood gangster.
The blood book.
Oh.
Okay, Henry. Do you want us to stop? Yes or no? We're at about
In a way.
we're at about 11 minutes. Henry,
Faith to God.
would you like us to stop?
4:30.
Is Thomas Pinkney here with us?
Airport.
Yes or no?
This message.
Say it with me.
All right, Henry and whoever else was here, our family members. Let's go ahead and tap them out. Tap them on their leg. Yeah, they kind of jolt a little bit.
Oh. That was horrible.
That was awesome.
You actually did really, really well.
Yeah, you couldn't tell.
When they said,
You got money on the brain. So you heard a lot of numbers. Well, first off, how do you guys feel? You guys okay?
Yeah. I started like feeling like my body was going like that.
It can get disorienting, so
Yeah.
don't get up right away. I don't need baby giraffes on the ground. You guys get that going. How long do you guys think you were under?
It didn't feel like 10 minutes. It felt longer than that.
Okay. Most people will say it was about 2 or 3 minutes. You were out almost to 12. You guys were starting to give us some relevance, so I kept you under for a little bit longer just to see how it was going to go. You okay?
Kind of scary.
Yeah.
when she said look, I started trying to scan the area.
Well, also when I'm actually going to watch this portion because I think something new popped up tonight. You could stop your video if you want, kind of give your hand a break because I'm going to collect everything here in a minute. The name Thomas showed up, and then a lot of numbers showed up. I will tell you that I do know for a fact that Thomas Pinkney is buried across the street. Do I think that there might be something there? I don't know, but when we asked how many ghosts were here with us, you said 2 of us. The weird thing is I normally get the answer of 5, so I never know like what the actual answer is. If you had like a direct answer, they'd ask a lot of yes no questions. Either one of them gave us any yes no questions. I probably trained you not to do that up to this point. But I think like I'm still gonna call this maybe slightly successful just based on whatever I find out about this Thomas Pinkney thing. At this point in the game, since I don't know off the top of my head, I have to claim it as unsuccessful. So we only had one vague answer that could have been conversational, but it's not definitely a fact where I'm like, yes, that was this. But I do like that you had blood something.
I had blood gangster.
Blood gangster. The word blood itself is very relevant to the person we were trying to hunt down. So again, we're kind of on that brink of like, was it something going on? Was it not something going on? I need to listen to the separate recording and actually watch the video so I can write down the things that were said so I can see if it matches up with what I think might be Thomas Pinkney. I've never had him come through. The weird thing is we'll normally get things about the doctor's house that we talked about earlier because it's right over here. It's only like 0.3 miles that way. It's like 1 block. So we get like things, traits about the house. We get the word yellow and green because it's a yellow house with green shutters. The number 59. You know, it's weird. We get all these traits about the house itself. So, Jen, with your device, have you seen any numbers pop up at all?
It's been really quiet.
So I'm gonna have you and Elena actually take a quick lap around to see if any numbers pop up, and kind of let the word list continue to generate while I start collecting everything else. All right. Any major questions? You get why we didn't let them know anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. That was cool.
I,
I think that was the best part.
This is why people have been signing up. We just added this like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I get the Estes method on there? Because I was going to do this with just the Spirit Box boot camp.